The media is back to calling Harry Potter fans who care about the fact that they race swap the characters racist. It's predictable, but it is still disappointing. The media is trying to say that it's somehow racist to want the character to look like the source material. To me, that doesn't make any sense. When they race swapped Snape and made him a black man, and when they race swapped Hermione and made her brown skinned, that breaks the continuity of the source material. It breaks the continuity with the major films that this is presumably trying to grift off of. Those original 8 films cost about 1.2 billion and made about 8 billion back. Emma Watson is obviously iconic as Hermione, and I think she did a good job despite the actress herself being quite annoying and, very woke herself. If you see in this article, it talks about how J.K. Rowling has doubled down and endorsed that they are going to race swap Hermione. She did not specifically say that she's happy that Snape was race swapped. As you can see here, Rowling, who has appeared to have fractious relations lately with the original film trio, responded by declaring, "All three are wonderful. I couldn't be happier." These bad relations with the original film trio, are largely due to the fact that J.K. Rowling is very outspoken on her views that men cannot become women and women cannot become men. That is obviously very offensive to woke people, and the trio is very woke. And I'm guessing, by the way, that these 3 new children that are cast are going to be quite woke as well. Hopefully, the media doesn't constantly hit us over the head and ask these, 10-year-olds what they think about gender politics, the war in the Middle East, and all these other controversial issues, but I'm guessing they will, which will only further make this future TV series very controversial and polarizing, which is not what you want out of a multi-billion-dollar film series that needs to make many billions back for HBO. And given what HBO has done with The Last of Us and even shows like Westworld, where it had a strong first season but couldn't keep it together, the idea that we're going to sign up for a long, 6, 8 season run of a series like Harry Potter makes me nervous, particularly when we're banking a lot on child actors, which are notoriously hit or miss, and may in fact sink the whole franchise if they can't act well, even beyond all the woke, um, posturing that they'll probably be pushed into doing. So here in the article, it says she has been outspoken in the past about responding to racist trolls, unhappy about the previous casting of black actress in the role of Hermione Granger. Again, there is nothing racist about wanting fidelity to source material, continuity, and character at all. And if you did it the other way, the media would be calling that racist. If you actually took a black character that was supposed to be black, like Black Panther or any black character, and made him white, the media would be flipping out about black erasure, about how isn't this so terrible that the few black roles that we get, they take it away from us. Now, I think there's plenty of black roles, but that's how the media would frame it, of course. Another thing that I saw in this article was a quick look at some of the transitions. Harry Potter, Ron, I think these look pretty good. Obviously, there's been quite the swap with Hermione, which I think is a mistake. And in the show, when they start calling her a mudblood, I can't help but think they're going to start making a lot of this bullying race based, particularly as you go down here, and they did quite a number on Snape. Not only does this guy racially not work for Snape, he doesn't even really look like Snape. He doesn't. I mean, Snape's supposed to be. I mean, Alan Rickman's not a hideous guy, but he's supposed to be kind of like a kind of hard-looking man who's not particularly attractive. This guy, other than a weird haircut, seems fine looking. I don't think people would be teasing this guy for his looks. Another interesting cast that I'm actually not sure about as well is Dumbledore. John Lithgow, I understand. I'm sure he's a pretty good actor, but when I see him, I just think comedy. I don't really think of him in this kind of serious role as Dumbledore. And I think that may be another one that's hard to pull off. It's obviously not a race swap, but it's another reason I think to be concerned. Hagrid, I'm not quite liking this look either for Nick Frost. There's a lot of reasons to be concerned about this show in my mind. I think they're casting a lot of people that are not very well known, which is strange because they're spending an enormous amount of money on this series. Like, talk of perhaps $100 million an episode, which is, even blows Lord of the Rings out of the water in terms of expense. I don't know how they're going to make that money back. And I would not be surprised at all if this doesn't go for the full run, because they've cast a lot of actors that I don't think, even outside of race, don't fit that well with how I would envision the characters from the book. And I've read all the books. I've watched almost all the films. I think maybe one or two slip by, but I'm very up to date with what's going on with Harry Potter, and I do want it to be brought to life in a good way as a fan of the series, who is not racist despite what Daily Mail wants to push on the fans. I think this kind of divisive rhetoric, saying that anyone who's unhappy about race swap characters is racist, is going to really hurt the ability of this franchise to succeed, because it really needs to have a very broad appeal. And I think a lot of people are going to think that particularly race swapping Snape is particularly egregious. And you notice they race swap both characters, Hermione and Snape, who undergo a lot of this kind of bullying for their looks or for their background. To me, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think they race swap them so that they can then insert race as another layer for why these characters are going to be bullied, which in my mind infuses already very race-filled politics. I mean, you see constant articles about race in the media from politicians. I don't need that in my TV show constantly hitting me over the head, breaking the immersion. And I'm hoping that they somehow pull this out and it works well, but it's increasingly hard for me to see this project working well. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm pretty cautious and concerned about a lot of what I'm seeing coming out about the casting decisions, about a whole bunch of other things, from the budgeting to how they're planning out the series, that's giving me a lot of cause for concern. And I don't think J.K. Rowling is going to do herself or anyone else any favors by playing into this narrative of acting like you are somehow racist for complaining about these very controversial decisions. And one of the kind of ironic things too is not only is she messing with and angering the people who actually want the story to be basically told as it is in the books, which is, I think, more of the kind of right-wing conservative people, but even independents, I think, don't like race swapping. And the Democrats and the more liberal people, they also don't like J.K. Rowling because they don't like her trans position. So she really doesn't have any kind of base that's actually likes J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter because of all these controversial decisions that didn't need to be made. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm concerned about this, but that they can work something out so it's at least watchable.